Hello, James. Happy anniversary, mate.
Happy anniversary, Matt.
5 years of Journey Through Sci-Fi.
That is crazy, isn't it? Like, who would have thought we would have still been chatting sci-fi and watching science fiction films and putting out episodes 5 years later after we started with that very first one in 2019 where we asked the question, what is sci-fi? I think we kind of know now, right?
I don't know. Still figuring it out.
It's still a journey through sci-fi.
Absolutely, yeah. And there are more journeys to journey onto, aren't there?
Yes, there definitely are. As we've said, it's 5 years since we started this podcast. We've been on lots of different journeys through sci-fi so far. So if you're coming to this podcast fresh, you can go back into the back catalogue and revisit all the different films we've discussed, the different episodes. We've covered TV shows, the whole length and breadth of sci-fi history we've covered. But each series on this podcast, we focus on a different subgenre of science fiction, and then we track the history of it on screen.
Yeah, we've done AI, space, time travel, VR, dystopia, space opera. Those are our 6 series so far that you can go back and listen to. But if you're a new listener who wants to drop in and join us for a new series, or if you're an old listener who's been patiently waiting for more episodes, you're all in luck.
Yes, we've got a brand new look for the podcast, which you may have noticed. We've got new artwork. It's all fresh looking. And we've also got a new series on the way. So we are dropping into your feeds with all this important information because we're going to make the very big announcement in our 5-year anniversary episode of what the new series of Journey Through Sci-Fi will be. And there was a lot of deliberating, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had a big whiteboard out, got wiped clean several times. We were covered in red and blue threads trying to connect the dots to figure out the perfect next series of the show. But we have settled on one, haven't we, James? What are we covering for Series 7?
So the next series of Journey Through Sci-Fi will be, Matt, you going to give me a little drum roll?
Yeah. This is me making a drum roll noise all by myself. I'm very good at making this noise.
Oh, it's the best drum roll I've ever heard you make.
I know, I'm so good at drum rolls.
You've outdone yourself this time. But yes, we can announce that the next series of Journey Through Sci-Fi will be all about mad science.
It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. Oh, in the name of God. Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Oh yes, mad science, mad scientists, crazy experiments, experiments gone wrong, unethical experiments. Everything under the banner of mad science is what we're talking about for the next few months right here on Journey Through Sci-Fi.
Yes, I think it's a very good series to come off the back of our last series, which was looking at the subgenre of space opera. So that time we were looking at the fantasy elements of science fiction, and now we're looking at the science elements of science fiction. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of imagination in this, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's going to run the gamut. I think we're going to see some real hard sci-fi, and we're also going to see some absolutely wacky nonsense. And I expect to see an awful lot of arcing blue electricity sparking between two pylons. I hope to see an absolute ton of that over the next few months.
Yeah, lots of lightning storms and stormy nights and crazy haired scientists.
Yeah.
In big dark mansions. I think we'll see lots of that, especially in the early films we're going to look at throughout this series. But there's plenty of mad scientists to discuss as we do this journey through sci-fi this time round.
But we want to hear from everyone listening as well. We want to know what you think mad science is and what you are hoping to see covered this series. What are the films that really scream mad science to you, or the films that no one's really heard of in the mad science genre that you think are real unheard of classics that need to be dug out for our new series.
Yes, exactly. We've got a lot lined up for this series, but we can always fit in some more suggestions. And we want to hear from you guys, like Matt just said. So send us your film recommendations for this series. Tell us what you think mad science is and what it isn't. And we will include that in our introductory episode, which is coming very shortly. But yes, send us your suggestions. We're all over social media. We're at Through Sci-Fi, at Through Sci-Fi Pod. And you can always send us a cheeky email at journeythroughsci-fi@gmail.com.
Yes, so we will be back very soon with our new series on mad science. And if you can't wait, of course, we always have stuff going on over on Patreon, where today we have just dropped our second episode in our Expanse mini-series, looking at season 2 of the sci-fi series based on the James S.A. Corey novels.
We made a discovery on Phoebe.
What happened on that station?
Someone was testing a weapon.
Phoebe may be the spark, but it will not end there.
None of us know what we're dealing with.
The protomolecule is proof that we're not alone in the universe.
Our job is to prevent a war with Earth. You ever wonder if we've got it backwards?
Rocinante is ready to roll. I was third in command of a crappy ice hauler, and now I'm leading a space station assault.
Who are we?
It's a declaration of war.
Millions could die.
We are a go.
Yeah, he's sitting this one out.
Yes, that's been a lot of fun so far. And Matt's even gone to extreme lengths to prep for that by reading all of the books as we've been doing that series. So we've got great book comparisons between what we see on screen when we're discussing that. And I feel like I'm learning more about The Expanse as we go, because it's a very deep political, hard sci-fi TV series to dip into.
Yeah, incredible world building on that show that we're picking apart one season at a time on Patreon. We'll also have a brave new movie review as Alien Romulus has just hit cinemas, the latest film in the iconic Xenomorph storyline.
Come on, help me, please. No, please. Get it away from me.
Run.
Yes, that will be coming out later this month on the 5th of September. So if you are a patron, you can access that episode as soon as that drops then. But we've also got the exciting first episode of this new series on mad science, which is coming out on the 12th of September. So put that in your diaries, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you're ready for when that one drops, because our first episode is going to be our official introduction into the world of mad science. And what are we discussing on that episode, Matt?
We'll be looking at the ultimate classic originator, really, of the sci-fi genre, Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's novel, as adapted into 2 versions in 1910 and in 1931.
When this dead hand moves, the monster created by a man they called Mad is turned loose to strike terror into the hearts of men.
The originator of science fiction, the thing that started it all, Frankenstein. So that will be our first episode of the series. And later that month as well, on the 19th of September on Patreon, we will be doing another special episode, this time looking at the new series, which has been on HBO Max in the States and has now finally come to Netflix in the UK, Scavenger's Reign. Now, I've heard a lot of stuff about this show. I've watched a few episodes already. I'm ready to dig into that and discuss that with you on Patreon, Matt, because we've had a lot of recommendations for this show, particularly from our US listeners.
Yeah, us Brits have been patiently waiting to watch Scavenger's Reign, and it's finally available over here. So I'm excited to get into that and talk about that and see what all this hype's been about this year about Scavenger's Reign.
This is Ozzy Nareen of the Demeter 227. I am seeking rescue. Is anybody out there?
Yeah, it looks absolutely bonkers though. I've watched an episode, like I said, and the way that they're showing the alien worlds in that is quite something. But we will talk about that in depth on the 19th of September over on Patreon.
And then the week after that, on the 26th of September, we'll be back again on the main feed with our second episode in our Mad Science series. We'll be talking about another absolute classic of the genre, won't we?
Yes, we will be discussing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So the classic split personality mad scientist. We'll be covering the film versions of that from 1913 and 1931. So a bit of a gap, but I feel like we might see similar things happening in the world of cinema between those times. And then we can also see how those really early renditions of mad scientists look. And I think it's going to look quite theatrical and like a stage play on screen.
I can't wait a minute. Positively indecent.
Look where he did to me.
Your conduct was disgusting. It isn't done. It isn't done. Strangle. Strangle. Indecent. Indecent. And a man dying of thirst. Forget water. Disgusting. You're mad.
Come back soon, won't you?
Yeah, and we've got a few more classic old movies to be looking at in the weeks to come. But it'd be interesting to see how the kind of tropes that we see in those early Frankenstein and Jekyll and Hyde movies, how they will dominate the conversations that we're going to be having. Because we always kind of see in our early episodes in a series that we'll look at some early films in a subgenre, and the tropes that are laid out there sometimes carry on throughout the series. And I definitely think with Frankenstein in particular, and perhaps with Jekyll and Hyde as well, there's going to be some types of mad science and mad scientists who we're going to see over and over again in this series. And it'll be interesting to see what those tropes and themes are in those first two episodes.
Yeah, I think that this series, we should start a mad science bingo for each of these films, and we can tick them off as we go to see which tropes we're seeing again and again, because I'm sure it's going to be packed to the brim with sci-fi tropes this series on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, so we are very excited to get stuck in to our series on mad science, and we hope you will join us for that when that first episode drops on the 12th of September. But as we said, plenty going on Patreon in the meantime, but we better go back to studying up to prep for our mad science episode.
We'll be back with you very soon, listeners.